What is up, everyone? Today we have an absolute classic for you. It is a 1988 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. This thing is beautiful. It's finished in a cream puff white. No idea if that's what it's actually called, but it's the original Jeep color white. This thing has gone through a sympathetic restoration. It is not brand new paint, but the paint job is probably only a few years old. You can see that it doesn't show any crazy cracking. There's no rust marks or bubbling or anything weird like that. And let's take a little tour of this jive of a Grand Wagoneer. As you can see, looking at the front, you'll see the OEM fog lights. Originally it had some weird aftermarket ones that we took off, and we decided to go back with the original look. Coming around the side, you'll see it has a nice 3.5-inch lift on it, which gives the truck a little bit more of an aggressive vibe to it, but also still stays classy with those OEM wheels wrapped in brand freaking new 33-inch BF Goodrich tires. Coming around the side, you'll see all the original OEM woody, whatever the heck you call it, siding. This is basically just vinyl, and then this molding attaches over the vinyl. If you guys have never seen that in person, you'll also see the OEM roof rack is still intact, which is a nice add. There is no tint on the windows, which is nice because it gives it that classy, clean look. Coming around the back here, we have the original 4x4 badging, the original rear bumper. Also should note on here, the wheels were all just refinished. They were painted and polished out. We did not want to go with an aftermarket wheel because we wanted to keep that classic look. The rear bumper is in need of either refinishing or replacement, probably whatever is cheaper. You'll also see it's got an aftermarket exhaust on it. Gives it a little bit of an aggressive sound and rumble when you start it up, which we will start it up in a few moments. The interior on the truck is pretty clean. I'll get more into that once we take it for a drive. Another thing you'll see is these are the original lenses, all intact, which on a lot of these trucks, those crack and crumble. On this one, it hasn't, so that's really nice because it can be a little bit of a pain to track those down. So anyways, let's take this thing for a ride and we'll get more involved in the details on the interior. All right, so we are driving our 1988 Grand Wagoneer. And as you can probably tell, we're a little bit higher up than the traditional Grand Wagoneer. It's nothing obnoxious, but it definitely gives you a little bit more of a higher visual point of view with that 3.5-inch lift kit. You can also see the truck drives very smooth, tracks straight, haven't touched the wheel. Usually if you did this on a Grand Wagoneer, you'd end up in a telephone pole or in a mailman, but we didn't because this thing drives extremely straight and also has brand new tires on it, which is really nice. You don't hear much of a hum from the tires, which is great because on most lifted vehicles, you tend to hear that wow, wow, wow noise. Not hearing that on this thing. Turns great. A little bit of body roll, obviously, because it's a lifted 4x4 vehicle, but overall, you could daily drive this thing. You barely hear the exhaust, which is also nice. It's aftermarket exhaust, so it has a little bit of an aggressive tone to it, but it's nothing drony or loud like some of the cars that we do drive. Also, you'll see the headliner is in great condition. They tend to sag and droop like a 1965 woman on South Beach, but this thing does not. That was gross. The rest of the interior is probably a 5 out of 10. It's weathered, it's vintage, but it's not all ripped up or gross or anything like that. It's very clean, but you could definitely in the near future do some new seat covers or do something to freshen it up a bit. Just depends on your taste, whether you're into that patina rustic vibe or whether you want it to be like perfectly brand new as it was from the Jeep factory back in the day. The rest of the interior is in good shape. The wood's in good shape on the inside. The speedo seems to be bouncing a bit. So that's something that for you project people out there, you could probably take apart and mess up worse and then end up having to take to a mechanic shop anyways. But that's something that I would probably fix on the car. The fuel gauge is working and accurate, in which I actually figured that out earlier, almost running out of fuel. And it was sputtering, but then I stopped at the gas station and filled it up, and now it shows a full tank of gas, so that's nice. Overall, just a clean example of a 1988 Grand Wagoneer. I wouldn't say that this is a project vehicle as far as needing to be like completely overhauled. What I would say is that it is a vehicle that does have a few projects on it. It could take some elbow grease and Saturdays to get this thing to the point where you would be extremely happy daily driving it. Even right now, you could daily drive it. One more thing, it did just get new coolant lines installed at a transmission shop, so they actually did it the right way. They didn't just throw like hose clamps on there or anything. If you have any questions, feel free to call us. Check us out on Instagram @ExoticCarTrader. And most of all, have a beautiful day.